Admiral Zixthak's tentacles writhed with amusement as the holographic display showed the approaching human fleet. The bridge of the Hegemony's Pride buzzed with chittering laughter from his multi-species crew. "Look at those primitive vessels," sneered Commander Veltar, his crystalline form refracting the light into rainbow patterns. "Steel hulls, chemical propulsion. They still use projectile weapons." The Galactic Hegemony had been monitoring humanity for decades since their first clumsy attempts at faster-than-light travel. While the galaxy had moved on to energy shields, plasma cannons, and quantum drives, humans clung to their archaic technology like children clutching worn toys. "Sir," reported the sensor officer, a graceful Altarian with gossamer wings, "they're broadcasting on all frequencies. Audio only." "Put it through," Zixthak commanded, eager for entertainment before the inevitable surrender. Static crackled. Then a gruff human voice filled the bridge. "This is Admiral Sarachan of the Terran Defense Force. You have 48 hours to withdraw from human space or we will be forced to engage." The bridge erupted in laughter. Zixthak's species had conquered 17 star systems with ships that could phase through matter itself. The humans threatened them with vessels that looked like they belonged in a museum. "Respond," Zixthak ordered. "Tell them we'll give them 10 minutes to surrender unconditionally. I'm feeling generous today." The human fleet, 30 ships in total, maintained their position at the system's edge. Zixthak's scanners showed their largest vessel was barely 800 meters long, dwarfed by his own 2-kilometer dreadnought. 10 minutes passed, then 20. "Sir, they're not responding to our ultimatum," reported the communications officer. "Then let's demonstrate the futility of their resistance. Target their flagship, single plasma burst." The Hegemony's Pride turned its devastating main cannon toward the human fleet, but as it charged, something impossible happened. Space itself seemed to ripple. The stars behind the human fleet wavered like heat mirages. And then, "What in the void?" Zixthak began, but his words died as new contacts appeared on his sensors. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Ships materialized from the cosmic background radiation, dropping some form of advanced cloaking technology that made Hegemony stealth systems look like children's toys. They were massive, each one dwarfing even Zixthak's flagship. And their design. "Impossible," whispered Veltar. "Those are human ships, but the technology signatures are 3 centuries ahead of anything in our databases," finished the sensor officer, her voice trembling. Admiral Chen's voice crackled, through the comm again, but this time it carried no trace of pleading. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding. You see, what you've been observing isn't our fleet, it's our museum." The 30 obsolete ships began to transform. Hull plating retracted, revealing weapon systems that made the Hegemony's plasma cannons look like slingshots. Energy readings spiked to levels that shouldn't have been possible. "Every ship you've seen," Chen continued, "every primitive vessel that convinced you we were easy prey, those are our Historical Preservation Society, volunteers who maintain the old ships as a hobby, a reminder of where we came from." Zixthak's tentacles had gone rigid with shock. His crew stared at their displays in stunned silence as more human ships continued to materialize. The space around them filled with vessels whose technological signatures were completely unknown. "You thought our steel hulls were primitive." Chen's voice carried a hint of amusement now. "What you didn't realize is that our primitive ships are built from collapsed matter held in a steel lattice. Those chemical rockets you detected? They're actually controlled antimatter reactions channeled through conventional exhaust ports. We learned long ago that sometimes the best way to hide advanced technology is to make it look obsolete." One of the museum ships, a vessel the Hegemony had dismissed as a primitive destroyer, fired a single round. The projectile moved at a significant fraction of light speed and punched through the Hegemony's Pride's shields as if they weren't there. It passed cleanly through the dreadnought's hull, leaving a perfectly circular hole but no other damage. "That was a warning shot," Chen said. "Our obsolete projectile weapons fire rounds of programmable matter. That one was set to door knocker mode." Zixthak found his voice. "What?" What do you want from us? 48 hours, Chen repeated. Same as before. Withdraw from human space. And if we refuse? There was a pause, and when Chen spoke again, her voice was cold as the void. Then, you'll learn what our weapons look like when they're not set to museum demonstration mode. Every system you've conquered, every species you've enslaved, they all made the same mistake you did. They looked at our history and assumed it represented our limits. Through the viewports, Zixthak could see the human fleet spreading out in perfect formation. Ships that had been hidden in plain sight for decades, disguised as obsolete relics while actually being the most advanced vessels in known space. The choice is yours, Admiral, Chen continued. But I should mention, we've been watching the hegemony for quite some time. Every species you've brutalized, every world you've strip-mined, every culture you've erased, we've been taking notes. The censor officer's voice was barely a whisper. Sir, I'm detecting human ships in 17 different systems. They're everywhere. Zixthak closed all four of his eyes. The galaxy's greatest military power had just discovered they'd been outmaneuvered by a species they'd dismissed as primitive. Worse, they'd revealed their hand against an enemy who had been preparing for this moment far longer than anyone had realized. Signal the fleet, he said finally. Full withdrawal. Send word to the Hegemony Council. We've encountered a superior force. As his ships began their retreat, Zixthak couldn't help but wonder what other obsolete human technologies were actually centuries ahead of galactic standard. The answer, he suspected, was one the galaxy was better off not learning. Behind them, the human museum fleet maintained their positions, continuing their patient vigil over human space. Ancient guardians in disguise, their true nature finally revealed.